Alrighty. Hey guys, it's Besa. It's time for another episode of Live and Lit with Besa. Right now, I have a first time guest, at least on my show. I don't know if anyone else has interviewed him, but we got Blakk Soul in the building.
What's good, y'all?
Let me ask you this. So, your real name is Eric Mercer, and I'm not going to front for the longest. I thought you went by Eric Mercer until I started Googling you and was like, okay, so I just know him as Eric Mercer. The rest of the world knows you as Blakk Soul. So, first of all, you're from Tacoma, but you are known everywhere at this point. Where did the name Blakk Soul come from? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But every name has a story. So, what's your story?
Okay, well, I was really influenced by the soulquarian era of music, like the neo souls, the D'Angelos, the Bilaus, that kind of vibe. So Blakk soul music has always really been heavily embedded in my music. But I guess more specifically, everybody used to call me Young Soulful at first. That was my original name. For those that go way back, it was Young Soulful when I first came out.
The OGs know that.
Yeah, and then I got invited to the inauguration back in 2008.
Oh, wow.
And I was just so inspired by, Obama being the first Black president. Like, I just changed it to Blakk Soul. But I initially was spelled the regular way. But there was already a rock band that was kind of had some notoriety that was called Blakk Soul, spelled the regular way. So then I just...
Were they Black?
No. Yeah.
The fact that I had to ask that and it was still the wrong answer.
Right. Still.
Continue.
I wish I could have said, yeah, of course. But
I was hoping, but I was just like...
Nah, they definitely weren't. And so I just decided to stylize it a little bit and put the 2Ks instead of 1C and then the Blakk Soul. And that's what I've been going by since then.
Wow. Okay. I love it. I was wondering where the Blakk Soul came from. I was like, I mean, obviously he's Black and your music gives me D'Angelo,
right.
Tank, Maxwell. So I get it. But I was like, there has to be something behind this.
Yeah.
Now, I actually love the fact that you're from Tacoma and you have bounced around so much. And we're going to come back to, you linking up with Dr. Dre. But the simple fact that you have maneuvered to that point kind of debunks a lot of things that I hear a lot of artists out here saying where they're like, oh, my God, we don't have support. It's hard for us to make it. Mm-hmm. Now, I did see that at one point you wanted to be a defense attorney. And then you were like, nah, this ain't for me, which I feel you. I thought I wanted to do radiology. And here we are.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, maybe not. Yeah. But you started going to different open mic nights.
Yeah.
So like after you really started getting into doing music, like in the bubbling days of Blakk Soul, you started going to those open mic nights. And I feel like people that are not from Washington don't necessarily think we have those.
Right. And at that
time, we do.
We had a few of them, yeah.
Yes, they were major. And I've made so many connections at those up and coming type events. Can you kind of talk about some of the connections that you were able to make back then, along with experiences that you were able to gain?
Yeah, man. Like for me, I didn't really have an immediate community of musicians that I could go to when I really wanted to decide to pursue music. Like I had a couple people I knew, but for the most part, I had to get out of my comfort zone, just jump in and get to rubbing elbows. And so the best way for me to do that was to go to open mics and see other performers and meet people that were event planning and putting on showcases and that kind of thing. And so it just so happened I had a homeboy that was an alumni at UW, and he was telling me about UW's retro open mic night they used to have once a month. And back then it was like Showtime at the Apollo. Like I went a few times just to kind of case it out first before I actually.
Now, let me see what I'm getting into.
Yeah. Let me just see how the people, the community here, is it a tribe or is it gonna be impress us? And it was kind of impress us up until you did. Then it was like a tribe. So
really,
yes, I've seen people get booed, and mind you, I've gone back since then, and it's a lot nicer now than it once was. But I've seen people get up there and get booed, get laughed off stage, and I was like, oh yeah, you got to really bring the sauce then.
I can really see that for back in the day. I mean, everyone is extremely sensitive nowadays.
Yeah.
And people want to call 911 on you right about now. And it's like, child, we used to throw tomatoes. You better stop.
What I'm saying.
For you to bring some Band-Aids when you come in here and chill out.
Because the world ain't like that. The world's not going to hold your hand through every situation. You got to develop tough skin, especially in this industry. Not everybody's going to like everything you do, and you got to be okay with that.
Exactly. What would you say your first experience was like when you got on that stage?
My first experience, it was nerve-wracking at first just because I was already familiar with what they're capable of and they don't like it. But my first experience went great. Like I came
Yes.
out with the song. I started off a cappella before I
Mm-hmm.
actually did something with some music, and they rocked with it. And after that moment, I started the numbers started increasing for the open mics, and they started using me on the marketing material because I was bringing in the people. So it was dope. Like and then
It
they
had
showed love. You would have swore I went to UW the way they showed love after those open mics.
I feel like people don't realize that, and it can be a little unfortunate with PNW, but they look at you a little sideways when they don't know you. It's like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
Stranger danger is a thing out here in the PNW. But once they hear you, they see your talent. It's like, okay,
It's love
I can
after
rock
that.
with you. And
Yeah.
it's like, where were you at 10 minutes ago?
Yeah. I think people just don't like some people, and it could be an ego thing. They don't like feeling like they have to earn your respect. I've never minded earning people's respect because I know I'm gonna put the work in to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's been a difference for me. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. What do you think would be the closest thing that someone could do right now to that? Because, like I said, I made so many different connections back then with different people that are like really moving and shaking nowadays. And that's because I took the time to go to these underground events where people are chilling. You can have an A&R just sitting in there minding their own business and you wouldn't know it, but you're not going to get near that person if you try to talk to them at a big concert.
Right.
So, what would you say would be somewhat equivalent to that in the midst of COVID?
In the midst of COVID, I haven't seen anything like it yet, but it would have to probably be something live stream involved. I know before COVID hit, I was hosting my own in the spirit of those showcases and whatnot that we grew up on in those open mics. I was hosting my own acoustic soul sessions night at the New Frontier Lounge downtown Tacoma, and those nights were going crazy because it was the same kind of vibe, same energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would imagine now it would have to be like a live stream setup thing. Maybe get a few artists that have a cool little online presence and set it up to where they have time slots to perform. It probably have to be something like that now. Even though I'm not gonna lie to you, like I know that's just the time that we're in, but coming from performing live in front of actual
it's
people,
not the same.
It's never gonna feel the same. Like it's just not the same energy when you got actual people in there going crazy when you're singing or when you're rapping and doing whatever on stage. So
Well, even like with these interviews, like, yes, it's convenient that I can do it this way, but
right.
it's completely like, even if I was sitting at the station and you were out, it's still
It's
not
gonna be a different kind of
the
vibe.
same. I'm not able to take pictures with you. I'm not able to like hug you. Like, it's a different vibe online versus in person. So I totally feel you on that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later.
Okay.
Now, at one of these events, you ended up meeting up with Cuddy Fresh, I want to say.
Oh yeah. So boom. A friend of mine that passed away, his name was Mark. He used to host a Sunday night, kind of like a jam session on Sunday nights at the Fair Gallery Cafe in Seattle. And so I used to go and just jam out. And like it was like people that were known around the city at that time, like OR that plays trumpet from
Trumpet Boy.
And jam out.
The original Trumpet Boy.
Yeah. It was a bunch of cats that used to come through. And so one night we were just jamming there, regular night. And now they're both my good friends, but Cuddy and Henny pulled up, I think just kicking it, having a good time, because they had the cafe downstairs and then they had like the bar upstairs. And but I recognized them from the magazines because at the time they were popping for doing all the Lil Wayne and the G Unit stuff. So when I saw them come in, I was like, oh, this could be my opportunity. Like
Target.
I gotta sing my heart out now so that they notice me. And it ended up working though, because I went up and was able to talk to him after the performance, got to exchange information, and Cuddy was just cool as a fan. Like we just clicked. And I hadn't heard anything from them maybe like 3 months after that. Then I got a email about being a part of this writing group at the time that they were putting together. Came in, and then that kind of kicked off the work between me and him. We started doing a bunch of demo references together, and we've been just tight ever since. Now he's more like a brother.
Now he also ended up linking you up with someone else that basically got you in touch with Dr. Dre. So here's the thing.
Oh, Big Pooh.
There you go. I find it so interesting because this is what I would do whenever I would go to like these different events. I would kind of case out who was popping in the city.
Yeah.
just in case they popped up at these events, and I would have like cards ready, questions for them, or at least know what they look like. So I would be like, okay, let me act right if I'm talking to somebody, or if I see them, I can dart right over to them. How did you working with Cudi and being friends with him somehow align with you meeting with Dr. Dre?
Okay, so like I said, we got together, and after that we got to working on a bunch of demos together. And he ended up going out to a conference in New York to play some of these demo references for some label people. At the same conference, Big Pooh's manager at the time was at the conference. So he had a rapport with Cudi. So when he started hearing the demos, he was like, who's the singer on these demos? He ended up contacting Pooh, who was working on the album at the time called Dirty Pretty Things. And mind you, I didn't find this out until after the song had already been out and did what it did. He had never heard my voice at all prior to then. So Doe called Pooh and was like, man, I just heard this young cat out of Tacoma. He's doing some stuff on Cudi stuff. Yeah, like I think it'd be worth it to work with him on some stuff, especially since you're trying to finish up the album.
Yeah.
So off of the strength of his, rapport with his manager, he was just like, okay, let's give it a run. I was at the homie's house. And this is like early Twitter. You know what I'm saying? This is like 2011 Twitter.
Oh, when Twitter was still ratchet.
Yeah. He had hit me on Twitter, and I was like, this ain't real. Like, Big Pooh, because I'm familiar with Little Brother. I was like a fan of them coming up. And then he like DM'd me and like send me his number, was like, yo, I just heard some records that you were on. Hit me. I might have a record for you. And I was like, swear. Called him. It was really him. Gave me the rundown of how he heard my stuff. And it all aligned, right? And so I left the homie's house.
Yeah, because there was no Twitter verification back then.
Nah, back then. So you kind of just had to go off of the word of.
It was like, I'm just going to hope I know your voice on the phone.
Yeah, like, and it sounded like him. So I was like, okay, this might really be a play. And the story lines up. So I'm like, okay. Left the homie's house, went straight to the studio, cut the record, sent it to him. He was like, it ain't no guarantee that it's going to make the record, but, if it does, I'll let you know and be getting your information. So it was probably like 3 or 4 months after that. He hit me, got my information, record came out, and then we've been tight ever since.
Now, how did you get that record done so fast? Like, did you just drop everything that you were doing and run to the studio?
I literally dropped everything I was doing and went to the studio.
I love it.
That's exactly what I did. And I was like, because I'm big on capitalizing on those opportunities when they're present, because opportunities aren't lost. They go to whoever's ready.
Period.
So like, he needed a hook for that song regardless. If I didn't deliver, somebody else was going to deliver. I'm just thankful it was me.
I'm also thankful that you got up and did what you needed to do to get it done, because I just really feel like there are so many. I don't want to like get in on my artist out here, but sometimes I feel like there are situations that could be for them and they either don't want to take a chance. Yeah, they're too cool. Like, oh, I'm not gonna press up for this person. I'm not gonna ask this person for a handout. You're not asking them for a handout. You're asking them for your opportunity. What is wrong with you guys? Like,
it's ego. Like, I find ego gets in the way of a lot of stuff for some cats, and it's like, man, do you really want to win or just look good losing? Like, that's the truth. Do you really want to win or just look good losing? I really want to win.
You need to put that on a shirt. I ain't never heard that a day in my life.
Man, it's serious.
Do you really want to win, or do you want to look? That might need to be the title of the episode. that is something I need these artists out here to take to heart, because I feel like their pride gets so much in their way that they're not even willing to be like, yo, I got something I want you to hear right now. Because sometimes you just have to take that chance. Like, don't get me wrong. I might still be like, no, I don't have time, but that might be the second I have time.
Right.
That might be the second you have time.
I understand how it is coming up too, because you got a lot of other people in your ear telling you what you should or shouldn't do, or how you should or shouldn't move. But you got to understand that there's going to come a point in time where you'll be able to move in the way that you choose to. But until then, it's grind mode. You're trying to build. You're not going to go into a job and demand a wage that your resume doesn't support. So the music game is no different. Like, you're grinding, trying to build leverage, trying to get big records, trying to make these numbers, trying to build the fan base, until you're in a position where there's things that you can be a little bit more selective about and be like, nah, I don't really want to be a part of that right now, or it doesn't fit the brand. You know what I mean?
I agree. And some people be like, oh, I got 10,000 followers, I can do what I want. And, okay, well,
All right.
You can have that. Or you can get your ego together and have so much more.
Right. I think you should raise your expectations though, if that's where it hits the ego for you.
I'm just saying. Now, real quick, what is something that you learned from Dr. Dre that you didn't think you would learn from Dr. Dre?
That I didn't think I would learn. Patience. And a different type of patience. So, mind you, I knew that in working in a space like Dr. Dre's space, everything was going to move. I would equate it to like when a player gets drafted to the NBA or to the NFL. Like, you're used to it moving at a certain pace that you feel like is fast, but then you get to the league and you're like, oh, okay, no, it's really levels to this.
Gotcha.
And getting to his space, like I knew everything was going to move fast, but what I didn't anticipate was him being as patient as he is to get certain things to sound right. So if you're not delivering the right vocal inflections on a phrase, and he's not going to move past that bar until it's right. Even if it can take you 10 minutes or it can take you 8 hours. Until it's right, it's not right. And that, I think, was a patience that I didn't fully have until after the fact. Because I would have been like, okay, a couple times, okay, that's cool. We'll move on. Or
like, this will work.
Yeah, or we fix it later if we have to. Like, that kind of attention to detail is what makes people great. The people that are willing to overdo the little things. And I learned that and was like, it really changed the way my workflow, my work process. And I think it helped me fine tune my sound a lot more.
I love that, just because there are so many times where even in radio, you can cut a break. And if you're not live, you might kind of fumble over a word and be like, it's fine. But it's like, redo that.
Right.
You have nobody has heard this but you in your own head. Redo it. Make it perfect.
Yeah, make
it as good as you can.
The first experience for the listeners is going to be something you could really, really be proud of.
Yes. Now, I want to ask you something. So Saturday, I'm doing a panel on Black inclusion in award shows. And I can't answer this question as an artist, so I'm going to ask you the question as an artist.
Okay.
Why do you think, especially Black artists, do not take awards from, say, a Soul Train Award or a BET Award on the same level as like an award from the Grammys for, say, R&B Album of the Year or R&B Artist of the Year, especially when it comes to Soul Train Awards? Because a lot of the times it's like, Black people create this channel, we create that sound, we do this, we do that. But when we have our own Black award shows, people skip out on those. So why do you think that is?
Man, I almost, and not to say that it's right, but I almost think for the same reasons that people look at HBCUs the way that they do, and with respect to, predominantly white institutions, I think they feel like being accepted on that playing field where they associated with bigger success, where they associated with more acclaim and accolades, it's like, what could be more acclaim or what can be a bigger accolade than being accepted by your own people? At least that's how I think. But, I forgot who said it. I think it was Snoop that said, nobody wants to win a Grammy until you win a Grammy. So, I've seen a lot of people, talk about their distaste for the Grammys and whatnot until they win one. And it's like, I finally accomplished this feat. Now I'm in the elite class. You know what I mean? So
it's like, but you weren't saying that last year before that nomination. Now you care.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate thing because we should value the opinions of our people that look like us and that create in the similar ways that we do and that understand the culture in the similar ways that we do. But it's just weird that it's not, and I for real don't know why.
And that's why we're having the panel, because I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I know, like, even for actors, you have someone like Halle Berry who basically had to play a whore in order to get a freaking Emmy. And it's like, it's like, okay, this is great. But nowadays she says, honestly, I felt like that meant something to me, but I literally read something where years later she said, it honestly didn't mean anything. Right. So that's why I was like, look, we got to have this conversation, especially in the middle of Black History Month. So just so you know, I will be using this clip for
Okay,
that
nah, absolutely. That's
question.
a good question to pose.
But I was like, I can't answer these questions. I'm not an actor. I'm not an artist. But this is a conversation that needs to be had because it's mind-boggling to me.
Right. I think.
Hmm?
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say I think winning a Grammy would be cool in terms of the visibility that it gives you, but I think you always want to win like the hearts of your fans first
Yeah,
before any award because that's what matters. I mean, if you don't win no awards and you're still able to make a living off of being able to tour off of the support that your fans give you, so it's
I
all
agree.
perspective.
And then even like hometown love, like people be like, I don't care about hometown love until you don't get it.
Until you don't get it, now you hurt. I love the home to everybody. I mean, but everybody's known that from the beginning of my brand. Like I'm a real town boy. Like I love Tacoma. I love my area. And yeah, it's like if you don't get respect at home, like what does the other stuff matter?
Nothing matters because when you go home, nobody cares about you. It's so
Right? Yeah. Like
it's like an oxymoron. I went to the bank today and I think someone recognized me, but I told her my real name on purpose because I just want to get
yeah.
It's like I don't need everybody always knowing. Like I don't want no like hi. What's your name? Janae.
Yeah, I just came to get in and out. That's all. That's all.
I just wanted to know about my debit card, but you cute. So let's talk about your album that you dropped in May of 2020, right at the cuspy cusp in the middle, actually in the middle of pandemic. Did you have like any like forethought of being like, look, this is a good ass album. It needs to come out. I know it's a pandemic, so this will be the plan. Because obviously you couldn't tour unless you went to Miami or Atlanta.
Right. And I had no idea at that particular time that the pandemic was going to hit as hard as it did. Because it was, I think I was in LA working with an artist at the time, and it was so bad during that time we had to get food shipped into us because we were going to the Walmarts and the Targets, and them shelves were bare.
I joined HelloFresh.
Yeah, were they delivering the food to people?
Yeah, it was just too much. I was like, first of all, I don't want to leave the house. Second of all, I do leave the house. There's no veggies.
Yeah. So it was like an unfortunate time when it came out because it was like in the heart of the pandemic. So there was a limited amount of things that we were able to do with it in terms of like the rollout. It slowed the rollout. A lot of people were getting let go at a lot of big platforms. So it was hard getting a lot of coverage on it. But the greatest part about it all, organically, it started to move well. Like with no major premieres on any major platforms, we debuted at 24 on the iTunes chart. I'm independent still. Yeah, over major label artists. So that for me was huge. And then we've done well over 200,000 streams at this point across all platforms. So like it didn't do nothing. In terms of an independent release, I was comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I just understand how much bigger it could be now. When things are able to get rolled out properly and when we're able to get out there and do shows and really present the music in the way that it should be.
Because that means people were talking about it from word of mouth. Like, hey, did you hear?
Right.
Did you know somebody using it in their IG stories on the music, and then you're tapping it like, well, what is that anyways? Like your post is great, but who's saying that?
Yeah, right. So that showed me a lot. And I was super thankful because I know the whole town was buzzing about it. So, for me, that's what really matters. I was like, thank you.
Speaking of the town buzzing about it, before I get on to my favorite songs on the project.
Okay.
My buddy Daryl Cruz now has a playlist on Apple Music and you're on it. What do you feel like this means for the PNW?
Man, I feel like that was huge. And the right person to be appointed that job because Daryl's just a tastemaker of sorts. He's one of those guys that just have knowledge and information about everything. Yes. And he makes it his business to stay informed about who's doing what in this region.
And so effortlessly.
Yeah. Like
he'll shoot you a DM and you're like,
yeah.
You've been watching me,
He's a great guy, like he just understands both sides of the coin. And I think, man, I'm super excited, and I was super thankful that he threw me on there. And yeah, I think it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge for visibility from artists in the Northwest.
I absolutely agree. I've been trying to ask every Northwest artist that I interview, just like, how do you feel? Because this is something that we've all been waiting for,
right? And I've known now for a while. So for me, it's like, yes, that was a good call, yes.
No, period. And honestly, he's doing his promo. He's making sure that it's
Mhm.
updated every week. It's not like it's just like some. It's
Nah,
not
yeah,
like
he's not.
check mark from hit for him. You know what I mean? And I feel
Nah,
like that is what's important when it comes to these things. That it can't just be a check mark. Like you
nah.
actually have to care. You have to put some passion into it. You know?
Yeah, it gotta mean something to you, and he shows that it means something to him every day. So I'm like, yeah, that was a huge look for the Northwest for sure.
Now your project. Take your time. My favorite songs. Now
Okay.
I'm gonna let you know. I'm one of those people where when I have a favorite song, it's never the stars. Like I
Yeah,
like I like the other songs
I'm
because I'm in
always
radio.
interested to hear what people's favorite song is off the
Yeah.
project. Yeah.
So in no particular order, although I do have a favorite.
Okay.
Dangerous,
Okay.
Smoke and Chill,
Okay.
Tap Out,
Yep.
and Lips.
Okay.
Now my favorite, I think, might be Smoke and Chill.
Okay.
If I had like a number one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one.
Smoke and Chill. Number two is going to have to be Dangerous because who did the intro?
That intro is fire, ain't it? So it was off of
When I heard the intro, I was like, skirt.
it was an excerpt. It was an excerpt off Def Comedy Jam.
Yo.
And the lady, I'm forgetting her name. Frenchie. Her name was Frenchie. And I had reached out about it because it was an old clip like from the 90s, but I was such a big fan of like Def Comedy Jam. I asked if I was able to use it and sent the song, and she liked the song. And
First, I thought it was Erykah Badu, if I'm really being honest.
oh yeah, nah. So it's crazy because I was that song came from an idea that I had for an entire project that I was gonna pay. It was gonna be more like a EP or a mixtape. I was gonna pay homage to Def Poetry Jam. So I was gonna do intros and outros of all of my favorite poems from Def Poetry Jam and create
Wow.
songs around those and like kind of create this body of work. So I ended up pulling that off of that project to add it to the album, and I felt good about it.
I felt good about it too. I was like, let me just put that in my notes and I'll just ask.
yeah. Nah, yeah, that joint. I was really, really happy with that joint.
So, Smoke and Chill might be
Mhm.
my fave.
Shout out to
What
my boy Drew's that dude. He produced that joint.
is a schmood?
Yeah,
Okay, it is
yeah.
one of those songs where it's like whenever I look for R&B music that where I'm just like, I'm just kind of vibing. I might have some wine. I'm doing like, that little gif where like he's sitting there and he's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Just vibing out. That's love. That's what it's supposed to
that's
be.
what I be looking for. I was like, well, what is this? So, Low Lit Vibrations got me all in the matrix.
Yeah.
Explain.
Low lit vibration. So um
Now I'm like,
when you're vibing sometimes and you're a little intoxicated, and in the studio we got like a bunch of colored lights sometimes. Well, in the studio spaces I create in, we have like some colored lights just to create a little ambiance.
I do too in my
And
apartment.
oh, okay, yeah. So so like literally when I was working on the song, it was like the whole energy of the colorful lights and moving slow, being a little wavy, and I was like, yeah, low lit vibrations got me all in the matrix.
I was like, oh, that's a bar. And then at that moment, I was like, I know he got his lyrics in here somewhere. So I was back to the phone, I tapped the little lyrics.
Yeah.
I was like, what else is he saying in here? It's a vibe. Then you have Tap Out. Not gonna front. I thought there was Tank on there somewhere, so I literally tapped the phone. I was like, who's featured on this? It was just you. Then you have Lips.
Yeah.
That was also a schmood. I think that should be on everyone's sex playlist.
Yeah, Lips was that was a real R&B type record, and
I was like, who's she?
shout out to S1 and his son Vaughn. They co-produced that record for me. S1 was known for he did the Power record for Kanye. So yeah, just in maneuvering around studio spaces and building a network and meeting people, I ended up linking or getting linked up with his son, who ended up sending me the record, and it was co-produced by them. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't even know he did R&B. Come to find out, he started off doing R&B, but it was Power. It was the record that took off first. So people knew him for doing hip hop records. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. So yeah, and then just to be blessed to even have that production on the album was huge.
Now, and then my other note for Dangerous is that it gives me mop vibes, but that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
So with all of these songs that I like, and I'm not telling you what to do with your music. I had a little thought. I was like, what if he did like a little mini series? So this is what I wrote down.
Okay.
It started out the mini series with Smoke and Chill.
Okay.
Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lips.
Okay.
Ended with Tap Out, and somehow put in your latest single right there. I think that would be like music. I mean, it might be a little more for YouTube, but we got iTunes Connects. What's up?
Yeah, okay, yeah, like a little 5-song vibe right there. Huh. Okay. I'm not mad at that lineup either.
I'm not either. And I was like, I usually mind my business, but
Yeah.
we just gonna toss this one out there for free.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to think about a repackage, like everybody doing deluxe projects nowadays. I'm gonna have to do like a rebrand of a deluxe something.
And just do videos that all go together one time.
Okay,
put it on
received.
TV.
Received. I feel that. Yeah, we're gonna work on some things.
I felt good about that when I typed it. Your current single is right here. It dropped on Valentine's Day. Let's talk a little bit about the single, story behind the single, and if a video is coming out. Or will it be a compilation?
It's a beautiful story, I feel like, behind the record. The record, so a friend of mine, close friend of mine, Chuck, his older sister got married a few years ago, and I wrote a wedding song for them because they knew I was songwriting, so they wanted me to write something specifically for them. I had never done it at that time. So I was like, yeah, that'd be dope. Let me try to write a wedding song.
Why not?
Performed it at the wedding. Everybody was crying. It was a beautiful moment. So moving forward, now I'm established. I'm a lot more polished. I was like, man, when my boy proposed to his lady, I was like, damn, I'd love to write you guys a song for the wedding. And so I went in because I just thought it was a beautiful story and it just made sense. And perfect timing. I was looking up and I was like, dang, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. This would be a perfect time to drop. So Mello, who the label I'm partnered with, I talked to the owner about it, sent him the record. He was like, yes, let's do it. So we dropped it.
The song is their story.
Yeah, the song is their story. Yeah. So I really put my pen to use. It's like a real story for that. And it just came out right. And I've been seeing like the reception of it has been beautiful. Like people get it, people understand it, and they love it. So
it definitely has wedding love vibes.
Yeah. And that's what I've always, the goal for me is to make timeless music, like music that's gonna far outlive me and be able to create moments for people. And like seeing some of the feedback that I've been getting from, like I've seen people, sitting down, talking out, tough situations that we're going through and like how the music impacted them and their relationships. I'm like, to me, that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes me feel good as an artist.
And that's what should make you feel good, because at that point you're not working. Like you're literally living your passion, and your passion is helping other people get through life. And that's what we're all trying to do around here.
It's a labor of love.
Yes. Speaking of that, because we do have to get out of here pretty soon. I got to start recording, y'all. But I saw an interview that you recently did, and you were talking about sophisticated R&B.
Yes.
Explain that.
So
I love it.
It's the look, I guess, of people. So like some of my favorite ballad songs are like Kiss from a Rose from Seal, like How Does It Feel by D'Angelo. And it's like, I feel like it's the imagery that captures me in those songs, because the songs itself are very beautiful. But I think people associate those type of songs to look a certain way. Like they either got to be like rock and roll-esque vibes, but rarely do we see like a black couple chilling, do-rag and bonnet at the house, like real life imagery, because we like sophisticated R&B music too. Like all of our R&B music doesn't have to be hypersexual or, trap driven. Like we like to hear instrumentation, we like to hear beautifulness, and still like to live casually. And so I thought bringing those concepts together, which is kind of leading into, yes, there is going to be a visual for right here. And I want the visual to really embody like regular everyday life for Black people, how we live, how we love, how we express our love. And it doesn't have to be this extravagant way to be any less impactful or any less meaningful. And I think like that type of song would be a great soundtrack for that.
I do too, because like you said, you see, I'm in a regular t-shirt.
Yeah.
Chilling at the house, like it's a normal day for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
It don't always love
tired.
don't always gotta look like like vacation on the beach, blue
Yes.
water. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could be, especially when it works, like when you guys actually care about each other. It could be a vacation right at the house. It could be a staycation.
Well, that, and I feel like when it comes to just Black people in general, there is like a certain thing that they want for us to always portray, especially if you are of darker skin tone. Like they sometimes just don't even give us the damn option to just be us. So when you were talking about sophisticated R&B, I was like, this really just takes me back to the whole thing that I'm doing on Saturday, where it's like sometimes we can't even be ourselves and get the proper accolades or be looked at the same. Like, you know, if you were to take a sophisticated R&B song and put it on a white artist, it would be Justin Bieber vibes at that point.
Now it's up. But if you take John Legend's R&B and you shoot videos with John Legend at the house in a do-rag and some hoop shorts, now it's devalued in a way. You know what I mean? So
the big piano, the nicely pressed shirt, the pinch, like it has to be a certain way, and it's like, but why?
Right? Does it have to be a certain way?
Who said so?
Because y'all are judging the book by its cover. Now it has to be a certain way. Nah.
It's almost as if it's been written so many times that they're not willing to change it.
Right.
And at this point, we are like, that's not my reality.
Right.
Like want people to think my reality is like, I feel like there's no happy medium for African Americans or Africans, period. Like they just want us to be in this one box or that box, but they don't really give us the option to be in a little bit of both.
It's either Black excellence or it's ghetto. It's like, man, there's a whole lot of space in between Black excellence and ghetto.
And it's like, no shade. I go to work and sometimes I come home and I take off my wig instantly. It's like, can I just live?
Yeah, let me live my life.
we do the same things, you guys. Like, but I'm still the same person when I leave the house the next day. But because of the way that we look, sometimes it's a little bit different. So really quick, off of your recent project, what do you want for people to listen to right now? Give us 3 songs.
3 songs off of Take Your Time?
Yes.
Ooh, I want people to go listen to Help.
Okay.
I think Help has a great message. Take Your Time, the intro track, good vibes, good message as well. And Dangerous.
Have a Mop.
Have a Bomb. Dangerous.
Have a Mop.
Huh? Have a Mop. Dangerous is gonna be a vibe. Yeah, Dangerous can go on anybody's nightcap playlist, I feel like.
I think every single song on there is perfect for any moment, but those 3 are definitely some good starter songs.
Okay.
And when do you think that the video for Right There might drop?
I think we'll maybe be a couple months out.
Okay.
A couple months out. I finally found a good video team that I think can really get the job done and execute it right. So yeah, we're putting the pieces together. I think it's gonna be a beautiful presentation when it's all done.
I'm here for it. Definitely send it to me when it's out so I can post it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna send you some exclusive stuff. Yeah.
I'm here for the exclusives. Always.
Okay,
thank you so much for joining me. I've honestly wanted to like interview you for a minute. So when you hit me up, I was like, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Nah, thank you.
Because you were so talented. And for me, I never want to wait until an artist is like so mainstream that I have to go through your publicist.
Right.
Someone else, and it's like all these layers to even get to you.
Right.
I can't stand that. So I refuse to do that. Like I need my lines of connections now while people are still approachable. So I want to thank you for sitting down with my Live and Lit. I want to make sure that everyone hits you guys up. Well, not you guys, child. I'm so used to certain things, but hits you up on social media at Black Soul Music. I want to say, right? That's like yours.
Yep. And it's all Black Soul Music. I try to keep it all the same so it's easy for people to find across the board.
Boom. And then you guys can check out all of his fire ass music at just Black Soul on any music platform. It's there.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. Hey, thank you for having me though. I really appreciate it.
Heck yeah, no, this was a vibe. Thank you so much. And like I said, this was like my first R&B interview in a minute, and I prefer R&B music. So these are always, and it's no shade to my hip hop artists, but they're my favorite interviews because it's like, it's not that I don't listen to rap music, but R&B really speaks to my soul. That's
right. Nah, I feel you. If don't nobody else feel you, I feel you.
Black Soul feels me, and that is on period. So on that note, make sure you guys continue to level up, raise your standards if need be, and Till next time, make sure that you are always your own vibe.
All right. Thank you. Love.